What if I told you that your passport is lying to you? That the blood running through your veins carries 24 forgotten languages, ancient wars, and stolen songs you've never heard? In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to show you DNA evidence so shocking, it will make you question everything you thought you knew about identity, history, and what it means to belong to a nation. Your passport declares you Mexican, yet inside your blood, 24 forgotten tongues are whisper-singing all at once. Fluorescent lights flare as we crash through a whirlwind of images, a cotton swab sliding across a cheek, a gleaming vial locking into steel, neon data streams racing across black screens like shooting stars, and finally a digital map of Mexico exploding into sharp, luminous shards. Everything you thought was solid begins to vibrate. In a glass-walled laboratory in Mexico City, geneticist Dr. Maria Santos freezes mid-stride. Her breath fogs the chilled air as a single genome glows on her tablet, half carved by the bone-dry Seri deserts, half soaked in the emerald humidity of the Lacandan jungle. The distance between those peoples once felt like the gap from Europe to China, yet here they mingle in one living body. Her eyes dart to the hall mirror, and for a heartbeat she wonders if her own reflection still belongs to her. Relief flickers, then dread. If two genetic opposites can fuse so silently, what else is hiding where science never looked? Imagine swiping your phone tomorrow and seeing the same fracture open inside your family tree. Names you never heard, places no elder mentioned. Are you ready for that earthquake? You might not realize it, but every cell you own has been carrying whole migrations, long wars, stolen songs. They've waited centuries for a screen bright enough to show their map. If stories like this thrill you, if lost histories and ancient DNA mysteries pull at your heart, then you need to hear what comes next, because the strangest chapters are still sealed. The screen zooms into a pulsing heat map of Mexico. Reds, blues, greens flare like city lights at night. Then the animation judders. One color, an entire lineage, fails to ignite. Silence swallows the hum of machines. The lab's only sound is the drip of an air conditioner, counting seconds like a metronome. Why does that color stay dark? Who once carried it? And why has it vanished from every living record, except, perhaps, yours? Mist opens like a secret door. We soar above the razorback spine of the Sierra Madre, green waves frozen into stone. Down below, a pinprick fire burns on a ledge, so narrow it feels impossible. Beside the flames, an old Seri singer tilts his face toward the pale sun. White ash dusts his cheek. His chant rises low and rough, a language with clicks and breaks that sound nothing like Spanish, nothing like anything the valley towns would understand. A gust tears through the canyon. Sparks leap, then die. The elder's shoulders roll with each verse, as if hauling memory up a cliff. His eyes flick once to the sky. He hears something distant but keeps singing, because the song is older than machines, older than the road that never reached this place. Resin and cedar smoke mix with thin mountain air, sharp enough to taste on your tongue. Now we cut to humid darkness. We wade through a Lacandan jungle so thick it feels alive. Cicadas drill the silence. Sweat beads on every leaf, every arm. A Maya healer crouches, grinding red bark against limestone. Her wrists are tattooed with river blue swirls. Copal smoke drifts around her like ghost cloth. She stops, lifts her head, and whispers a prayer so soft it melts into the insects. Two worlds, one country, yet they have never met. The screen splits. On the left, Seri DNA glows amber. On the right, Lacandan DNA flares jade. The gap between them, as wide as Europe to China. Now, imagine carrying genes so distant that the people who share your flag are genetic galaxies away from you. What does nation mean then? Rivers turn into walls on an ancient parchment map. Each blue line a century without roads, without marriage, without shared songs. You might be closer to strangers across an ocean than to the neighbors in your own market square. But watch the horizon. A dark shape, an empire, slides over the map like an eclipse, hungry, unstoppable. Deserts and rainforests that once kept these islands apart are about to flood with marching feet, traded corn, and conquered names. When the shadow reaches the fire and the jungle, whose song survives and whose bloodlines bend, the answer lies in what happened next. Flames leap from bronze braziers, throwing wild light across obsidian blades. It is 1428, and Tenochtitlan's war drums hit like earthquakes under skin. Rows of warriors march in jagged rhythm toward the lake island of Zaltican. Feathers tremble. Breath fogs in the chill dawn. The air tastes of chilly ash and copper blood. Somewhere beyond the spears, one village lullaby drifts into terrified silence. Jump 6 centuries. A backhoe exhales dust, and archaeologists kneel inside a trench the color of burnt honey. A small clay figurine, half smiling, half cracked, rises in gloved hands. Cameras flash. Under that toy-sized guardian, soil samples hide a weirder treasure. Mitochondrial codes that flip from local to foreign as suddenly as a page turn. It's as if whole chapters of mothers were torn out and replaced, yet the book never changed its cover. Picture the moment it first happened. A young Zaltican woman clasps her newborn to her chest, while conchhorns wail in the plaza. She presses her back against a reed wall, feels each heartbeat slam against her ribs. Tomorrow, new rulers will rename her town, her gods, her body. Her son's children will forget the lullaby she whispers tonight. Her genes will vanish, living only in the dust we just disturbed. Ink scratches across maguey paper. An Aztec scribe lists tribute. Maize, cacao, cotton, then adds a final, chilling line. People. Head counts become currency. Bloodlines become taxes. The quill pauses, then skids on, sealing fates with a blot of black resin. Above the palace, captives shuffle under moonlight, their shadows trapped inside torch smoke. Could your own family stories hide a conquest that erased grandmother's very chromosomes? Maybe the surname you where came from a ledger like this, pinned to a tribute pile. Listen to the echo in your heartbeat. It might not be your first language at all. Now the ground rumbles anew. Archaeologists push deeper and uncover a buried barrio of Teotihuacan, older than the Aztecs, louder in its silence. Multicolored pots whisper in Nahuatl, Zapotec, maybe tongues no one has named yet. What hidden city waits beneath these bones? And how many more bloodlines will it rewrite when we pry its doors open? But we need to go even deeper. Moonlit waves smash against black rock, throwing salt into the dark. 5,200 years ago, a chain of torches wobbles across the water. Slim canoes hug the coast, paddles flashing amber, then vanishing. You can almost taste the smoke drifting from pine pitch fires on the beach. Hear paddlers breathing in rhythm, sh, h, while behind them the land waits for a plant no one has planted yet. Corn does not exist, but footsteps already beat its future path. Jump forward like lightning. A lab screen glows midnight blue. Tiny points of light skate north, blinking from Sonora to the desert that will one day be California. Each spark is a DNA marker, a Uto-Aztecan word carried in blood, not in parchment. A tech adjusts her glasses. The image blurs, then sharpens. Those moving dots are people singing, fighting, loving, burying, leaving. Her pulse speeds. History never told this story, yet here it pulses in fluorescent code. Back in the deep past, stone meets stone. A grindstone thuds, thuds, thuds on seeds with no name. The rhythm echoes like a drum inside a small cave. Embers spit. A young traveler tastes the flower on her fingertip. Earthy, bitter, powerful. Technology and language slip down 2 different roads. Tools sprint ahead. Crops lag behind. But words hop the canoe and sail on. Rain slicks a modern notebook under a canvas tarp. An ethnographer scribbles. Hopi words echo Nahuatl roots. Ink spreads in black blooms as thunder growls. She closes her eyes, mouths the syllables slowly, feels them vibrate on her tongue like borrowed ghosts. Have you ever wondered if the words you speak at breakfast sailed the Pacific coast before tortillas were even dough? Maybe the very phrases you joke with are older than your favorite taco recipe. Listen. A new sound grows, creaking timber, clanging metal, Latin prayers rolling over the surf. No canoe makes that noise. A wooden hull painted with a red cross cuts through the fog, heavy with men, muskets, and a destiny they cannot spell. When that deck hits sand, whose language shouts first, and whose blood remembers the louder song. Armor crashes like thunder. Blades flash silver. A storm rolls over Tenochtitlan, and the long stone causeway mirrors the black sky so perfectly it feels like the soldiers are marching upside down. Rain slaps their helmets. Drums stop mid-beat. In that heartbeat of silence, empire smells its own fear. Here's where everything you learned in school becomes a lie. Look at this glowing pie chart. Bright red, 2/3 of the Y chromosomes, pure Iberian. Electric green, almost every mitochondrial strand, native, born of these very lakes. Fathers came roaring from Spain. Mothers stood already in the market square. 2 stories, 1 body. How can a single bloodline belong to both the invader and the invaded? Step inside that market. Chili smoke curls above bright cacao beans. The spice hits the back of your throat. Suddenly a new scent pushes in, musk oil and gunpowder. Talk dies down to a whisper. A basket seller lowers her eyes. Steel boots crunch through spilled maize. The air itself feels pulled in 2 directions, unsure which side to breathe. Near the canal, a young mestiza girl kneels, washing sweet cactus fruit. Water lies smooth as glass. She stares at her reflection, dark hair, hazel eyes, a face split by history. 1 ripple, and the image folds into double. Do you feel that flicker in your own mirror? Your father's side might run straight to Castile, but your mother's story sleeps right here, under this lake bed. Touch the mud, and her heartbeat drums back. Now listen closer. The clank of armor returns, but catch the rhythm. Lighter, quicker. Many helmets on that first march were not Spanish at all. Allies? Prisoners? Something stranger? Footsteps of men whose names never reached the Spanish king, yet their genes might be walking in your veins right now. So, whose flag did your ancestor carry when the causeway shook, and what secret did he trade for a slice of this new world? The answer will shock you. Torches hiss in the damp night. Red gold light flickers over 2 flags that should never share the same wind. The jagged eagle of Tlaxcala and the crowned lion of Castile. Drums from different worlds bump out of sync. Steel breastplates glare against feathered shields. You taste sweat and resin in the air and wonder, are these men allies or traitors, saviors or the next conquerors? A cracked leather ledger sprawls on a monastery table. Candle wax drips like slow tears. A monk's finger slides down endless names. Not Diaz, not Cortez, Tecutli, Xicotencatl, Tlaltecatl. 95% of the so-called conquistadors, indigenous auxiliaries. The word Spaniard shrinks to a rumor inside the margins. 1 scratch of a quill rewrites every textbook you saw in school. The scene blurs and refocuses on a dusty courtyard 50 years later. A Tlaxcalan warrior's grandson tightens the knot on his maguey sandals, nerves buzzing in his ribs. Across the plaza, a young Mexican widow steps through jasmine smoke. Once, their grandfathers would have met at sword point. Tonight, they share corn beer under paper lanterns, hands trembling as they touch. In that kiss, 2 rivers of blood crash together, spin, and flow out in an entirely new direction. A pit opens in torchlight. Obsidian arrowheads lie mixed with rusting Spanish blades, jawbones locked like gears. The metallic tang hits the back of your throat. Each artifact a shout, each bone a whisper. Enemies in life, roommates in death, and maybe ancestors in your own cells. Have you ever wondered why your DNA results showed both Aztec and Spanish? You might be looking at the ghost of a single battlefield handshake, a deal struck in torchlight, sealed forever in chromosome code. But there's another story hidden in your genes. Moonlight slices across black water, turning every wave into quicksilver. La Venta's wooden wharf groans, and somewhere below, iron chains knock together, clang, drag, hush, like thunder trapped underwater. No ships now, just ghosts of hulls that once leaked tears and salt. The air smells of wet rope and distant cacao smoke, sweet and cruel in the same breath. A floodlight snaps on, blinding white. Archaeologists kneel inside a sandpit, gloved hands brushing soil from interlaced ribs. A scanner chirps, its screen blooming with color bands. Enamel isotopes shout the truth. These teeth grew in Senegambia, 4,000 miles east. First-generation Africans, body stolen, heartbeat frozen in bone. A student wipes sweat from her lip. Her eyes shine, half horror, half awe. History feels different when it stares back as a skull. Night blaze. Festival torches roar over Veracruz Plaza. Drummers pound goatskin gems. Marimba bars answer in bright ripples. Two rhythms wrestle, then hug, then birth something new. Coastal sun that tastes like sea spray and cinnamon. Dancers twirl, sweat glittering on bronze shoulders. Every stomp shakes the cobblestones where auction blocks once stood, redefining grief as groove. A genome map erupts in neon dots. 8, 10, 17% African ancestry lights pockets along the Gulf and Pacific coasts. Colors pulse like bioluminescent plankton, Veracruz emerald, Guerrero sapphire, Campeche ruby. Each pixel a silent syllable, waiting centuries for a screen to speak it. Have you ever scrolled through music, tapped a drumline, and felt your neck tingle? That faint gem cadence might not be random. Maybe your mitochondria remember the deck of a slave ship, the lull of Atlantic swells, the first gasp of Mexican air. You might not realize it, but your blood has perfect pitch. Yet beneath skin and sound lurks a stranger drama, an invisible map, being drawn one breath at a time. Genes that once fought smallpox now wrestle asthma. Alleles shaped for rainforest humidity must learn to trust dry mountain air. Which code will betray you, and which will save your children? The answer rides the next exhale, swirling where science hasn't looked. A nurse snaps a plastic mouthpiece into place. Two kids, both 17 on paper, stand side by side in a bright hospital hallway. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead. Antiseptic hangs sharp in the nose. They inhale deep, cheeks puff, then blast air into spirometers. Numbers pop on a screen. The boy from dry Sonora scores like a kid of 7. The girl from lush Yucatan wheezes, reads like a woman pushing 30. Same age, same country. Two different calendars ticking inside their ribs. Cold metal lands on the Sonoran boy's chest. He flinches. Goosebumps jump across his skin even though the night air feels like wet cotton. The girl shivers too, sweat shining at her hairline. You might not realize it, but that stethoscope is listening to deserts and rainforests arguing under skin. One grew where air is thin and dry, the other where it drips with steam. Same passport, opposite atmospheres. Does your medical chart know the deserts and rainforests living in your genome? Imagine taking cough syrup meant for a climate your ancestors never met. Picture a surgeon guessing lung size by surname, not by lineage. Your heartbeat could be singing the wrong aria in an opera house that doesn't speak its language. Yet this new power cuts both ways. Decode the body. Heal the body. That's the promise glowing on every lab screen. But each test strip also carries a barcode, a price tag, a signature line. Who owns the data swirling in that breath you just gave away? The hallway lights hum louder. The girl coughs once. Doctors cap their pens. Outside, lawyers are already sharpening arguments like scalpels. A single spotlight slices through courtroom gloom, landing on a silver hard drive, sliding across polished mahogany. It stops with a click that sounds like a gavel. Lawyers quote the Genomic Sovereignty Act, articles, clauses, fines, while rows of raw Mexican genomes glow on the screen behind them, twirling like neon snakes. Are these swirling codes national treasure or private skin? No one breathes long enough to decide. Outside, rain chews the courthouse steps. Elder women in woven huipiles bang drums out of sync, shouting, "Kinship is not a barcode." Their palms slap wet hide. Water leaps off fingertips. A guard flinches each time the drum cracks. In his pocket sits a migrant's cheek swab, sealed in plastic. That tiny cotton tip might unlock a passport, or slam the door on a life 3 borders away. A TikTok bedroom, pink LEDs buzzing. A teenage girl rips open an Ancestry kit. The app spins, confetti explodes, 21% West African. Her jaw drops, tears follow, then a laugh bursts out. Half shock, half relief. The phone trembles. Comments pour like fireworks. "Sis, you're royalty." OMG same. The party lights flash, but history's weight settles in her chest like a new heartbeat she never trained for. Heat, thick as syrup, fills a cramped Oaxaca clinic. Ceiling fans chop the air, whoop whoop whoop, yet sweat beads on every brow. Consent forms stack high, covered in jargon that crawls like jungle vines. Polymorphism, biobank, irrevocable. A grandmother's signs with a shaky thumbprint, eyes never leaving the crucifix on the wall. Somewhere between the clauses, her chromosomes become property. She will never read that sentence. You there, watching, would you trade your genetic privacy for a glimpse of forgotten ancestors? One signature, and your blood becomes data. Your story a database field. Somewhere in that spinning metal, your future grandchild's insurance rate may already be whispering. Yet far beyond this courtroom, wind sweeps Pacific dunes, uncovering bones older than any empire. Scientists can't match the DNA. No tribe, no continent, no label fits. If that lineage is neither Mexican nor foreign, who gets to claim its story? And what happens when it decides to rewrite ours next? The sequencer screen spasms, green code, red code, then a shard of pure white, a genetic signal no database on Earth can name. Wind howls off the Baja Cliff, yanking canvas walls so hard the whole research tent shivers. Cable ties snap like pistol cracks. Salt spray stings the laptop keys. Yet the data keeps pulsing, stubborn, alien alive. Flashlights slice the dark. An archaeologist in dusty boots slams the flap shut. A linguist flips pages of a rain-spotted notebook. Two Seri elders lean over the table, fingertips tracing coastlines the maps forgot. Their voices layer, Spanish, Khmer item, Nahuatl, rising and dropping like a chant no one rehearsed. Science tries to speak. Story refuses to whisper. Together they form a rough, new language built from wonder. Time rockets forward. A glowing atlas unfurls. Every pueblo in the Americas a floating pixel. Each pixel a heartbeat. Each heartbeat tied to a full genome waiting its turn. Rivers of data weave between mountain ranges. Light leaps oceans, the picture incomplete, but electric with promise. Pause the frame. Zoom on a single blinking. That could be your street, your roof, your living room lamp. Tomorrow, a swab from your home could rewrite an entire chapter of American prehistory. One cheek rub, one postage stamp, and the unknown haplogroup on this cliff might finally find its cousins, or expose a contradiction big enough to flip textbooks upside down. You might not realize it, but destiny sometimes travels by courier. Night drops like velvet. The team huddles around a low fire. Embers hiss, sending sparks upward to meet stars older than every empire we've named tonight. No one speaks. They all feel the same question vibrating in their ribs. Somewhere beyond the camp, deep inside a desert cave, a single skull still waits, its DNA sealed tight, its story louder than the silence around it. When the next storm sweeps through these cliffs, will we unlock that voice in time, or let the wind scatter the evidence forever? Your passport declares you Mexican, yet inside your blood, 24 forgotten tongues whisper sing all at once. Every heartbeat carries migrations no map ever traced, conquests no textbook ever recorded, love stories that span continents and centuries. You are not just Mexican, or Spanish, or Indigenous, or African. You are the living, breathing endpoint of 100,000 years of human drama, written in code so complex that science is just now learning to read it. The question isn't who you are. The question is, who are you ready to discover you've always been? The strangest chapters are still sealed, waiting for you to break them open. What will you find when you finally dare to look?